Tired of feeling stuck, unseen, or like your body isn't yours anymore? It's time for a reset. Welcome to an Ageless Life, the Midlife Reset Show, where science, movement, and mindset help you feel strong, energized, and like yourself. I'm Devi, a clinical pharmacist, Argentine tango dancer and instructor, and your guide for redefining how women thrive and grow in midlife and beyond. Let's get started. What I used to believe and why it changes everything. I used to believe the narrative that aging was just a downhill process, that at a certain point you started gaining weight, you lost energy, everything hurt, your confidence faded. And your body, well, it became more a mystery of what to do now. I mean, squinting at labels in the grocery store, moaning every time you get up and wondering, is this just what happens? The truth is, our bodies don't come with an owner's manual. No one hands you a guide at 40 and says, this is what you need to do to feel amazing at 55. You wonder why stuff that worked before isn't working anymore. What changed forever for me wasn't a detox or a diet. It was finally learning to care for the woman I'd become. You wouldn't feed a toddler the same as you would a 25-year-old. So why is it that we think that we should treat our 55-year-old bodies the same that we did when we were 25? And that was a moment that really shifted it for me. In my last episode, I talked about what the doctor told me. Basically, you're getting old, just get used to it. And the worst of all, stop trying to be young. I started questioning everything because aging wasn't the problem. The story that I'd sold about aging, that was the problem. What I believe now is aging is not a decline, it's a recalibration. Confidence doesn't just disappear, it gets buried under years of conditioning. You were never invisible, your light just dimmed, and now it's time to turn it back on. Movement is medicine, but only if it feels like it to you. Science and soul are not opposites, they're dance partners. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be supported and in a different way. And mostly important, we don't feed toddlers the same as we do teens. So why should we treat our 55-year-old selves like we were 25? I know I said this before, but this is something I really want you to think about. Think about the way that you are, what you're doing for your body now compared to what you did for your body when you were 25. And I'm sure your body's been giving you messages all along that, this is not working anymore. We can't do this. But let's talk about some of the rules that we've been told to follow. No red lipstick, no long hair, no short skirts, no bold opinions, and no loud laughter. Just be quiet and go over there in the corner. And the truth is, wear what lights you up. I wore a purple long dress with a bright green top with it, and I felt amazing. What is it that makes you feel amazing? Express yourself. If it's red lipstick, if it's silver curls, if it's bright, bold prints, barefoot on a yoga mat, whatever says, I'm here. There's a woman in our tango community, and she is 70 years old, actually over 70 now. She has got fabulous legs. I'm talking Tina Turner legs. She rocks this short skirt with more confidence than 30-year-olds do. And trust me, she is not asking for perfection. Never asking for permission. Perfection too, because we can get stuck when we go there. But with regard to permission, she never needed it. And you don't either. We've been told to shrink ourselves. But what if aging isn't about hiding? What if it's finally about being seen on your terms? One of my clients, who was in her 50s, was eating like she was 25, and she went back to the real restricted diet that she had that worked for her to lose weight. She tried the same things, but ended up gaining weight, craving sugar, and constantly crashing. We worked together, and she discovered she didn't need to overhaul her entire life. She just needed to reconnect to what her body was telling her she needed. One small shift, starting her day with protein. Everything changed. Her late afternoon sugar crashes disappeared. She stopped snacking on empty carbs, those that are in the vending machines. She told me she felt like her brain finally clicked and was more ready to work. She felt more grounded, steadier, more like herself. She wasn't punishing her body anymore. She was working with it. This also reminds me of Lisa, who, like many of us, tried to follow the old rules that used to work for her. She was pushing her body through space. Again, she wasn't eating breakfast because that was the old paradigm that she had, skipping breakfast. She changed that by adding 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. I call it the 30-30. It's a goal, not a mandate. And she would have a couple of eggs, maybe a little bit of cheese, a scoop of collagen in the morning. It wasn't hard. It was just new. It was a new habit that she developed. And she too noticed that her sugar cravings, especially mid-afternoon, started to fade and her energy started coming back. She stopped fighting her body and started feeding the woman that she had become. Your body holds more wisdom than any app or expert. Your body is a divine vessel, and it sends messages, quiet but powerful. You may have heard it say, "Stop scrolling," long enough to hear them. When I started living these beliefs, everything changed. How I move, how I eat, how I rest, how I show up, and yes, how I feel in my own skin. This is what my tango students started seeing in me. They would come for a dance lesson, but secretly pull me over to the side and go, "What did you do? Can you teach me how to do what you did?" And just so you know, it wasn't Botox. It wasn't fillers. It was not some $300 serum. It was this, shifting how I thought, moved, and nourished myself with intention, with care, with grace. So let me ask you this. What if you're not broken? What if you don't need to be fixed, just better supported? What if this next chapter isn't about holding on to who you were, but becoming who you're ready to be? This week, I invite you to try something different. Pause once a day. Put your hand on your heart or on your belly and simply ask, what do I need today? You might be surprised what your body has to say. That's it for this episode. See you next week.
That's it for this reset. Thank you for spending this time with me. If today's episode gave you something to think about, I'd love to have you subscribe so you never miss what's next. And remember to grab your free gift, your midlife superpower, 5 simple power moves to feel like yourself again. The address for this is, or link is, anagelesslife.com /superpower. Thanks again. Bye-bye.